take another one. As we're beginning the month of December, our theme this month is generosity. And my topic today is giving from an inner reservoir. Giving from an inner reservoir. You know, in the month of December, there really is a lot of giving that goes on. Dare say it's probably the most materialistic year in our Western societies. A lot of gift giving and a lot of exchanging. But I'd like us to go back beyond that, and particularly this concept about generosity and what it means for us to be generous. When we are giving gifts these days, a lot of times we've disassociated ourselves from the gift. From an anthropological standpoint, the gift always represented something of the giver. Gifts weren't just random things. That the gift itself was somehow made, created by, infused with the energy of, and meant to be a reminder of the giver. You were in the gift. Okay? We are part of the gift. Let that sink in for a moment. We are a part of the gift. We don't see ourselves anymore as fundamentally part of the gift. But trust me, when you're coming from a place of generosity, your generosity is the gift. It isn't simply the item that is exchanged. It's not the dollar amount that's given, but your energy, the love, the support, the caring, the investment, the empowerment that comes from this wellspring within you that you're passing on, that's the gift. I want you to really catch that. That's the gift. You're the gift. Sometimes we think it's in the thing that we buy or the thing that we exchange. But technically speaking, that's just symbolic of something else. That's just symbolic of something else. We're the giver. We're the giver. We're the giver, we're the gift, and we're also the receiver. We make this false distinction between giving and receiving, but giving and receiving is like breathing. There's an inhalation and there's an exhale. An inhale and an exhale. And you aren't breathing until you're really doing both. The generosity requires the both. You're the giver and the receiver. You know, like I said, we're in this holiday season, and particularly people who are gifting children. And when they're gifting children and they're watching the delight of the kid, it's hard to know who's really getting the gift. Because the adults are sometimes giddier than the kid. Because they're delighting. There's a reciprocity that's happening where they are delighting in what it means to be a giver. They are delighting in that sense of joy and satisfaction that we have in knowing that we've somehow touched somebody's life and that we've made a difference. If you're too mindful of being either a giver or a receiver, you're going to miss it. Okay? You're going to miss the generosity, and you're going to miss the blessing. If you are too mindful of being a giver or a receiver, if you're in this mentality that all I'm doing is giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, you won't be blessed by your own giving. If you perceive yourself as always giving and giving and giving and giving, you will feel depleted. Your giving will not be a source of restoration for you. On the other end, if all you're doing is receiving, gimme, 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 what you got for me? More, 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 more. Gimme, gimme, gimme. That gimme, gimme, gimme has us in a constant state of lack. And there's no amount of receiving that's going to fulfill that. One of my favorite readings about giving and receiving is in The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. And he has a line in there where he says, "Is not the fear of thirst when the well is full the thirst that is unquenchable?" Is not the fear of thirst when the well is full the thirst that is unquenchable. And how many times is it actually full? Whatever. We actually have the relationship. We actually have the home. We actually have the whatever, and we're still in fear that it's not enough. Okay? Because if we're just, where's it going to come from? Where's the next one going to come from? Is this one going to stay? Is this one going to leave? You know, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We're not in the bounty of it. We're not in the generosity of it. There has to be this balance between the sense of giving and receiving to such an extent that it stops being something that you even notice. Like if I say take a breath, you're not consciously thinking, okay, now I'm going to inhale and now I'm going to exhale. You take a breath. When you're in that place of being generous, you're not conscious of, okay, now I'm going to give and now I'm going to receive. You're in a flow. Can you feel that? There's a flow. The spirit of generosity is an open conduit. It's a conduit. Things are coming in, things are going out. It's like a hose or something. And if you pinch one end, you're going to impede both. If it's coming in and out and you put a block there, if you put a block on what's coming in, then nothing can go out. And if you put a block on what's going out, nothing else can come in. So there's this open-ended space that we have, like a conduit that's letting things come in and that's letting things go out. So why is this that we have this fear about things coming in and things going out? What is this fear that we have that if I give, I'm going to be depleted, so I can't be generous, because if I give too much, then I'm not going to have enough? Or on the other end, if I'm the recipient, where I can't get into the sense of generosity because I'm afraid there's never going to be enough for me to receive. And if somebody else gets some, that means I'm not going to get it. And then I got to be policing where everything's going, from how much love to how much support to how much financial empowerment. I'm the distribution police. and who deserves it and who doesn't deserve it. And I don't feel the generosity. I can't feel it in myself, and I even can't feel somebody else's. Well, you owe me that. Thank you, but you owe me that. You owe me that. I'm just saying. Can't feel it. My topic today, giving from an internal reservoir. The only thing that ever needs to be healed is what? The sense of separation. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's something going on in your body temple. I don't care if it's international political affairs. When you boil it all down, all of our man-made problems are based in a sense of separation. Separate from whatever. Separate from our good. Separate from our wealth. Separate from our health. Separate from our power. Separate from joy, from love, from creativity. Separate from our wealth. Separate from each other. Separate from my own self. Separate from God. Just separate somewhere. And we try to get these things in our life to heal that sense of separation. So when I get this relationship, now I'm not going to feel so separate from love. When I get this friendship, then I'm not going to feel so separate from my sense of belonging. When I get this gifting over here, I won't feel so poor. I won't feel so this. I won't feel so that. So we're busy substituting the acquisition of people, places, and things to try to heal that kind of existential hole that we have in the human psyche of a not enoughness, that there's something missing, I don't quite have enough. And the world is dying over this scarcity mentality. The world is dying over this sense of not enoughness. And it's that sense of not enoughness that prevents us from being generous. Because in that sense of the not enoughness, we don't believe that somehow or another there can be enough for everybody. Tapped into an inner reservoir. When you find people that you consider to be generous of whatever, generous of their time, generous of their talent, generous of their money, their homes, their resources, their food, or whatever. They don't have a sense that it's just coming from them. They don't have a sense of themselves as the self-generator of this. They know that they are tapped into something that keeps on giving. It's like if they're a gardener, they know they're not making the flowers. You're not making the flowers. You're tending to the process. Each seed unto its own kind. It starts off in Genesis talking about that. Each seed unto its own kind. That's material things, that's consciousness as well. Because our thoughts are seeds and ideas, and everything multiplies. Everything multiplies. So people who are very generous have this sense of a bounty in the universe. And I don't care how you think of it. I don't care how you imagine it, because that's quite beside the point. The point is to believe it and to feel it and to know that you are tapped into it. It always saddens me when I see talent, particularly entertainers, die young from abuse, drug-related stuff or whatever. It always saddens me. And when I look at the people who have this staying power, you know, like a Mick Jagger or Smokey Robinson or Quincy Jones, or like, you know, these people who, or Betty White. God, she's in her 90s. And she's just still doing it. I was watching some stuff online yesterday about George Bush, the older Bush, that just recently passed away. And how on his 80th, 85th, and 90th birthday, you know he celebrated it? Skydiving. Skydiving. And what I hadn't appreciated about his personal life at the time, probably a lot I didn't appreciate. I'm just saying, at the time. But as I'm listening to people talk about these one-on-one relationships with him, was the extraordinary generosity of his heart. Just his extraordinary generosity. There's a staying power. I hope you hear what I'm saying. That when you think it's only coming from you, you're going to run out. So here's the paradox of it. A paradox are things that appear to be contradictory, but they're actually simultaneously true. When you think you don't have enough, you have to dig deeper into that to find more. That's the paradox. Okay? When you think you don't have any more love to give, you got to tap into the reservoir of love itself. Beyond just the love that you know or think has come through you, it's that midnight hour moment, that on the knees moment, that, you know, I'm a metaphysician, and, you know, I talk about the affirmative prayer and stuff, but I ain't gonna lie, there are those midnight moments when I am begging and pleading. Oh, God, please, please give me the strength. Give me the courage. Give me the wherewithal. Give me the resources. Give me the heart. Straighten my mind out. Okay? But that moment, and the more often that we can get to that moment without the drama, the more generosity that we can have. So now I don't wait till I am physically exhausted and depleted to tap into the internal reservoir. Now I don't have to use up all my resources, all my energy and everything before I finally surrender and ask for some help or some assistance. And most of the time, I'm aware enough to know I'm not really asking some universal power or something to help me, but I am asking to be used by it. I'm asking to be used by it. That as long as I'm still trying to control it, as long as I'm still trying to figure it out, my life is measured. And then I'm busy rationing out what I think I have. Rationing out my wealth. Rationing out my support. Rationing out my compassion. Rationing it out because I'm so sure that I'm not going to have enough. But when you know you are tapped into something, statistically speaking, poor people give more money. That's a proven fact. What they give represents a larger percentage of their overall disposable income. Okay. Now, I'm not here to try to glorify poverty, but I can tell you why that's true. It's true because they know they don't have it. That's that paradox. They know they don't have it. It didn't come from them. So wherever it is that whatever they have came from, that's where it's going to come from. Okay? I wasn't able to put this food on this table. I wasn't able to put this roof over my head. You know, I wasn't able to see my mama through her cancer. I didn't have it. I can tell you now, I didn't have it. So whatever that is that empowered me to be able to do that, I'm banking on that. Are you with me? I'm counting on that. So there's an irony in that. You have somebody that's got a lot of money, and they've set the table for 4. And a 5th person comes around, and they're like, well, I'm not quite sure that I bought enough for 5. You've got the family that's got trying to feed 12, you know, and little Ray Ray says, can, you know, Jenny Sue come and have dinner? And it's like, okay. If what we got here can feed 12, it'll feed 13. Because it's a consciousness. I want you to get what I'm saying. It's a consciousness of a knowingness. And this awareness has been one of the most liberating revelations of my life. Because you will wear yourself out trying to figure where it's going to come from. You'll wear yourself out. In 12-step programs, this is part of the one day at a time. One day at a time. Don't worry about the end of the year. Don't worry about next month. Don't worry about next week. Because the strength and the wherewithal that you need next week will be there next week. There's some metaphors that are coming to my mind right now. They're biblical references. In the Exodus journey story, when the Hebrews were leaving their captivity in Egypt on the way to the promised land, and they were in the desert for 40 years, they were not lost. There's that common thing that somehow they were like lost, just roaming around in the desert. No. They made it to the promised land. In less than a year, they decided that they couldn't go in. They weren't prepared. So they spent 39 years getting prepared. And the way that the story goes is that they followed a cloud by day and a fire by night. And wherever the cloud landed, they just stayed there. Could be 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, but you stayed there then. And when it moved, then you moved. And each of these campsites has a name, very metaphysical. And certain things would happen there in terms of the readiness, and a certain number of people would die out. So that literally the only ones that made it into the promised land were the ones born on the journey. The you that's in your captivity is not the you that's going to make it into your promised land. It's the you that's born on the journey. So you try to figure out, I don't have enough. How am I going to make it into this big life that I know that's promised before me? You can't, you won't, not this you. Not this you. This you gonna go. And there's a new you that's going to be born on the journey. Catch that. Not born while you're still in your captivity state, and it won't just boom when you arrive in your promised land. It's in the goo. It's in the desert. It's in the cocoon. It's in the metamorphosis. It's in like that in-between spot. And you've got to rely more on the divine then than at any time. So on this journey, they had this stuff, this sticky, gooey stuff that would just like fall from the heavens on the ground. And they referred to it as manna. Do you know what manna means? What is it? Manna literally means, what is it? Nobody knew what it was. But catch this. Listen to what I'm saying. There was enough every day for each family. You couldn't save it. You couldn't store up for next week. There was only one time you could save it. The day before the Sabbath, you got a double portion. You got a double portion, so you wouldn't have to work on the Sabbath. Okay? Nothing fancy. The same thing every day. And folks were bored out their gore. That's a whole nother story. But the point is that there was that provision. So when Jesus comes along and gives us what we know of as the Lord's Prayer, he's referencing that. What is referred to as give us this day our daily bread, it's referring to this manna. But it's not a ration. It's not just a specific amount. It literally is a word that he made up. And it would be more accurately the sustenance for whatever our needs are from day to day. Do you feel the difference? Not like a daily, it's just this much, but whatever you need each day, that's what you're provided. Daily as in this day, like 12-step program this day. Just be present this day. And whatever you need this day, that'll be here this day. Whatever tomorrow needs, that will be there the next day. That's the only way you can really get into a spirit of generosity. The only way you can really get into a spirit of generosity is to understand that I've got enough today. And that there's something in the universe that multiplies. There's something in the universe that replenishes. Nothing stays the same. I want you to catch that. There is no such thing as I just give this and it's no more, because everything replenishes. Everything is multiplying. Nothing's ever over. Everything is just shifting and it's changing form. That's all that it's doing. This body that you have here now, that's not the body you had yesterday. It's not the body that you had 2 months ago. This whole body is completely regenerating itself all the time. The leaves fall off. The leaves grow back. Everything keeps multiplying. And when you realize this, then you realize I don't have to hold on to this one little thing, because this too shall pass. Whatever this is, this too shall pass, and it will be replenished by something else. And the right thing, exactly when it's needed. It means digging in where you don't think you have it, to tap into that inner reservoir. You've got to tap into forgiveness you don't think you have to forgive more. You have to tap into creativity you don't think you have to create more. If you're an athlete, there's that point of exhaustion, and you got to go deeper and tap in. You've got that writer's block. You have to go deeper, but that deeper is not more into what you think is your lack. It's the vastness. And drama's optional. So how low do you have to go before you tap into the well? How exhausted do you have to be before you tap into the well? Or can you make tapping into the well your practice? Can you make that your way of being in the world, where it's not even coming from you anymore, it's coming through you? It's coming through you so much that when people receive it, they don't even see you. They can see God blessing them through you. Where they just close their eyes and cry because they know that you are their answered prayer in a way that you don't even know. They know that you're being used by God in a way you don't even know. When you really feel people are tapped in, like the way the Beckwith says, don't listen to me, listen to what I'm listening to. You can tell somebody that just went to a music studio and just did any old kind of thing. And somebody who heard a song and channeled it, yes? You can feel that. You can feel that. And I guarantee you, if you were willing to be a conduit, a channel, if you're willing to tap into that reservoir, oh, the generosity that comes from you, through you, will bless you and sustain you. It will sustain you. This is good news. This is the moment when you should look happy. This is the, whoo, whoo, thank God. Let's pray. In this moment right now, we are so grateful. We're so grateful. Whatever that is, the divine wisdom, whatever that is, the intelligence, whatever that is that creates life itself. We're so grateful to be part of it. And we say thank you. We come now humbled Because we know that when we love, we are loving with the heart of God. When we think we are using the creative energy of God, God is within because we are living and moving and having our being in God. There's air in our lungs because we're walking around in air. So in this moment right now, we let it go. We lay the burdens down. The fear, the worry, the doubt, the lack, the limitation, the resentments, the scarcity, the not enoughness. Whatever that is that squelches our potential, we lay it down. And in this moment right now, we just open up ourselves wide. We're just naked. Just as we are, we come. Just as we are, we come. Relishing in the enoughness of the divine. There's enough. There is enough love. There's enough courage. There's enough power. There is enough generosity. There's enough support. There's enough opportunity. There's enough balance and order and wholeness, courage and strength and conviction and compassion. There's enough. We choose to see it so it can come through as us. Thank you for all needs met. All needs met. For the healing of the body temples. For our financial affairs. For discordant relationships getting into harmony. Clarity coming out of the clutter of confusion. We give thanks in this moment for guidance and direction. Divine right relationship. Companionship. We give thanks for resources. Divine right housing. Safe homes. Divine right transportation. And it goes on and on because the divine only shows up in one way, and that's all. All. We speak a word of blessing for Gaia, for Mama Earth, the Pachamama herself, and all of her creatures, and all sentient beings. A prayer of healing and restoration and wholeness. And for all people everywhere, regardless of nationality or anything else, we're all equal in the eyes of God. So regardless of floods or fires or wars or hurricanes or earthquakes or whatever, peace. Peace still. Whatever political storms we're going through, peace. Peace still. This is a freedom song. In this moment right now, we're standing up whole in all of our power, in all of our truth, in all of our humility as sons and daughters of the Most High. Use us. Use us for something so much greater than our little ego selves. This is our prayer. Like Emerson said, we get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits. It is done. We let it be. And so it is. Amen.